one of the things I've never made common knowledge on this channel is I've always been into discos and DJing. Although I would never class myself as a DJ as such. I'm not a mixing DJ. I'm more of a fader up, fader down kind of guy, if you know what I mean. One of the things I've always been fascinated in is equipment. I've loved equipment ever since I was a young age. I remember in my loft at my parents' house, I would have a makeshift kind of radio studio. Might sound sad, but that's what I did, and that's what my jazz was. And then as I got older and I was leaving school, I got into doing discos, and I just loved it. And back in the day then, it was the old Citronic turntables. It was one of those all-in-one coffin things. I think it had a tape deck in the middle or something. It was proper vintage. So I'm not a full-time DJ. I don't do it all the time. It's more of a thing that I do because there's a bug in my system, and every now and again I just like to go out and play music to people. And I'd actually stopped doing it for a long time because my son came around and, you know, life changed. It wasn't just about, you know, going out and partying and DJing, doing discos. All of a sudden I had a family, so my life did change. So I stopped for a long time, and then there was a point where someone approached me and said, how did I fancy doing a bit in between live music? A friend of mine, Matt Neal, there's a video of his on our other channel, actually on the Warwickshire Arts channel, and he mentioned about me coming and doing DJing in between his live set. And I was like, oh really? And he goes, yeah, I used to come down and watch you at the local pub all the time. He said, I loved what you did and you should be out there doing it. And it was really Matt that kind of got me back into it, really. And since then I've reinvested in kit, and then I got to the point where I wanted my kit to look more presentable. So I found an old camping table, and I thought, well, first of all, I'm just going to rip this apart, get off all the sort of like the edges and stuff like that. And then I had this like real strange whim to just make something out of pallet wood, and that's how the front of the Warwickshire Arts disco board, whatever you want to call it, became. It was made out of pallet wood and a few LED lights. But then I always had this vision of a mixer sat in a nice piece of carved wood, something homemade, something handcrafted. And that's when a friend of mine, Dean, suggested that, well, why don't we knock up a few designs and try and pull something together? And that's more or less what happened. And then within the space of about 3 weeks, all of a sudden I've got this beautiful looking desk. The one thing I did say to him is that I really like the idea of this thing looking like a musical instrument, and Dean has worked on building guitars and all that sort of stuff. He's been big style in music, and he said, I know what you want, I know what you're looking for, let's get some wood and let's just make it. So am I happy? Hell yeah. I can't wait to go out with it. It's just, love it.